me unmute myself. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you to all our panelists that are here today. We have a full lineup. Thank you for those who are attending. I think you're going to find this information very productive. So this is our fourth module on our webinar series on how to continue running your business in the COVID-19 climate. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sal Ayala. I'm the CEO and founder of Unico Biz Solutions and Unico Media Group. I also sit on the board of the California Hispanic Chambers of Commerce, as well as the Greater Riverside Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. So thank you again for coming. A couple of housekeeping tips. We're going to have questions at the end of the presentation, so please, we have some great panelists. I'm going to go over who is here in a couple of slides here. But please put all your questions down, put them through the chat. There's a button at the bottom for questions and answers. Please put them through there so that we can go ahead and get those answers, the questions answered, okay? So our objective is to educate, to provide resources, exchange ideas, and provide solutions. So with that said, please make sure to ask questions to any of our panelists so that you can basically get educated and stay up to date. If you know of any resources that we're not aware of, please, share them. We're here to exchange ideas. We're here to help each other out as business owners. That's the main objective of this webinar we put together along with the chambers. And finally, we want to provide some solutions, right? We want to be able to give you some resources and solutions on where you can access what you need, okay? So again, we also are going to be sharing this on YouTube, on live stream. So we're going to put up a domain. It's going to be youtube.unicobiz.com, so you can go back to it later on and revisit it if you like. So I'm going to go ahead and go into our coronavirus creed. So with that, we must not keep fishing in the same dry pond. Basically, we have to make sure that we're not focusing on one area. We must not quit. We must reinvent ourselves. We must double down on marketing. It's a little biased, but I think it's important. In good times, people want to advertise, and in bad times, they have to, right? That's a quote by Bruce Barton. So that's our creed. Let's go ahead and continue here. So today's agenda, we're going to have Tammy Martin-Wiles with Health and Wellness. She's from Plant-Based and Health Enthusiast, and also the president of the Black Chamber of Commerce. Like she would say, woo, woo, Tammy. Next, we're also going to have myself speaking on online digital marketing. Okay. We're going to also be highlighting our business owner, Alvin Garces, he's the CEO and founder of Chef Gourmet. Next, we're also going to highlight Sylvia Duarte, Chamber of the Antelope Valley Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Next, we're going to have Oscar, who's going to be talking about the updates on the CARE Act. He's a CACC Foundation Director, so we're excited to have him as our guest today as well. Also, we're going to touch a little bit on alternative lending. As you know, there's some updates that are happening, and I think there's going to be definitely a place for that in this current environment. And finally, we're going to end with the tax updates. Tony Martinez from Latino Tax Pro is going to be bringing to us some very important updates on taxes and tax law and so on. So we're going to let them introduce themselves when they come up to present. So I just want to go over the agenda for today. So Tammy, you're on.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you, Sal. And you are right. I am Tammy Martin-Wiles. Get raw with Tammy. I'm a plant-based enthusiast, and I'm also the president of the Black Chamber of Commerce. But we're going to dig right into it. I'm going to make this very short and sweet. We've been talking about a little health and wellness and several ways of keeping, you fresh and vibrant during this COVID-19. And remember, I said fresh and vibrant, how to keep moving, how to sustain. And we've been talking, we started off the series, when I have to give a little background, we started off the series of how we're going to keep healthy and happy by number one, we started with maintaining your schedule. How are you going to maintain your schedule through this? Because a lot of times our schedule's thrown off. Number two, diet. Very huge, very important. Got to build that immune system. And the third thing we talked about last week was exercise. It's very important because we got to bring the oxygen into the body. So today, our short and sweet session that we're talking about today is social interaction. Yes, social interaction is very important. Now, I want to say this, know thyself. First of all, know thyself. I know there's a lot of people out there that says, I'm a loner, I don't need anybody. False. I'm sorry. You need human contact. But the whole thing with knowing thyself is people need people. We need people. That's why we get married. That's why we have friends. That's why we have all of these things. And when we sent into a pandemic like this, especially when we're on lockdown, a lot of people are usually so busy at work running their business, or they're probably in an office, and all of a sudden now you're at home. You might still have an office, but you are now isolated. Can't get in that car and go talk to a friend. You can't go to a client. You can't do a lot of stuff. And we can become deep into ourselves. So we have to maintain some type of social environment. Let's remember that. It has been linked to the social environment is very important for not only your physical health, but your mental health. So it stimulates both of those. And it also has a great effect on, when we're talking about health, our endocrine system. It can send our hormones everywhere. I'm not going to go into detail, but there's a couple things I want to address. The physical and the mental. How this can be affected if we allow ourselves to really disconnect from social interaction. It can it lowers your stress. With communicating, it lowers your stress. So on the opposite side, if you're not getting that social interaction, your stress can become higher, and we can tend to stress out a little bit more because we're missing that connection. It can cause depression. So a lot of people sink within. They don't have that feedback, and then they can go into a deep depression. It causes anxiety. And also, it affects our endocrine system. Those are the hormones that, along with the nervous system, control how you react. And, that is basically the engine that fuels our whole body. It's our nervous system and that endocrine system. Now, because of this loneliness feeling that can be caused from this disconnect, we need to get back. You need to, like I said, know thyself. So some things that you would need to probably address is, what can I do at home? Connect with the family members. If you have someone at the house, create a game night, create fun activities. Create things to do with your family. If you don't normally talk to your kids, or, you don't normally talk to your spouse, form certain things that you're going to conversate about different things. Create fun environments. Go outside and play. I didn't say go down the street and play, but go outside and play. But the next thing I want you to do is think about the social media platforms that you're already on. If you're on Facebook, find a new friend or go to Messenger. Why don't you message somebody, friends that you haven't talked to in a long time? Hang out. If you need to visually see somebody, Skype. Get back into those things of socializing and actually visually seeing someone and carrying on conversations, because we get feedback. This builds self-esteem. Again, it lowers the stress. We get that immediate gratification of somebody saying, yeah, you're right. Why are you down? You shouldn't be down. You get that positive reinforcement when you're doing that social interaction. That means so much to our brain, to our whole system. So remember, know thyself. People need people. So get on that Skype, get on your phone. Maybe you have about 20 people you ain't talked to in 2 years. Pick up the phone and ask them how they're doing. Start conversation. How about this? Introduce yourself to a stranger. I know that sounds crazy on social media, but I'm sorry. Figure out their interests. Start new relationships. It's time anyway. Your business needs new relationships. So, with that being said, that is my muse for today: social interaction. So remember, maintain the schedule, get that diet in check, exercise, and keep the social interaction, because there are people out there who are, just sinking into depression. We don't want that. All right, Sal, it's back to you.
Tammy. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Those are great tips. And I'm definitely going to go and look for some board games or something to play at home. So thank you so much.
Yes.
Okay. So let's keep the show going. So today it's going to be actually my turn to speak a little bit on marketing and what we can do here to keep our businesses thriving and alive and going. So, Memo, can we go to the next slide, please? So I wanted to focus on offline strategies versus online strategies, right? So we all have a certain way of marketing ourselves offline, but a lot of times we've left our online strategies kind of to the side for whatever reason, right? Marketing, just creatures of habit, how we do business. So a lot of the channels that we have to think about, right, when we're talking about online strategies versus offline strategies, is our marketing channels are branding, right? How do we bring our offline strategy from branding to an online strategy and branding, right? Same thing with online when it comes to websites, right? How do we shift our website from just being a website that is more of a business card, a brochure where people can see our services, to an actual website that is converting visitors into buyers, right? Really actually making a sale online and capitalizing on that, right? So, I looked at businesses. I've been online since 2007, the last crash, right? I brought my business online. It was actually a pivoting moment in my business. I had a 4,500 square foot shop. We had 17 realtors. I was in financial services as well. And the market crashed, right? Unico Media was already alive because we were doing all the marketing for that. So I had to pivot. I had to shift everything that I did to an environment that was less overhead. My overhead on a monthly basis was crazy. Just in the building and my employees, I was probably over $30,000, $40,000 a month. So I said, what do I do to pivot? And this isn't my first, time at the rodeo, or however that saying goes, right? I've been through this before. I saw this coming and I started shifting right away, even as we're doing these webinars, right? So definitely making sure that your online presence is not just, a website, right? To me, my online presence is my physical location, right? So you have to look at your website as your physical location. That is what everybody looks at. That is where everybody goes to get information about you. But now we have to take it a step further. And not only having them visit your website so they can see what services you offer, but visit your website so they can purchase something, so they can take some type of action, right? So I'll be talking a little bit more about that. SEO is another area of online, right? Search engine optimization, making sure your content on your website is relevant to your consumer, right? Making sure that your SEO components are very, very, very well in tune with what you're trying to do. And SEO is not just a term, right? It involves different strategies, including social media, that is going to help drive traffic to your site, right? So search engine optimization is what SEO stands for, right? The other aspect of an online strategy is your social media, right? Obviously, social media is not anything new to anybody, right? So there's a few things a few myths that will bust on social media. A lot of people think social media is free. Well, yes, it's free up to a certain point, but a lot of people kind of came late to the game. I always like to use the analogy, who moved my cheese, right? When it came out back in 2007, when it was barely starting to take steam, you can reach a lot of people really fast. But now there's so many people on there that you put a post and it drowns, right? So you really have to have a strategy for your social media and be proactive, right? So we'll talk a little bit about that. I'm not going to go into every single channel today. I'm going to focus on a couple of things that I think are very important that you should start with, right? Telemarketing, right? That's another way of communicating with people online, just picking up the phone now, right? People you might have a type of business where people are walking in and not so much calling. So that's something that you might want to consider engaging in. PR has changed from offline to online. Now our PR is webinars, right? This is what our PR looks like now. Our chambers are basically moving to the cloud and continuing the same. And I'm finding it to be, even more productive, because we're able to jump onto 10 webinars in a day. Well, maybe not 10, but quite a few in a day, versus driving around and spending money and going into different venues to do our PR. So again, that's another area that you need to look at your offline strategy and how can you convert that into an online strategy, and then convert the online strategy into a buy strategy where they're actually buying services from you online, right? So these are all things that, again, we don't probably think about. We don't see it in that way, but it's important for you to consider, right? And finally, texting. There's all kinds of different ways of doing texting and texting platforms, right? There's all kinds of strategies that you can use and utilize to have a texting strategy. And another form of digital communication that we take for granted. Not only do we take for granted, but 98% open rate. So you send it to 10 people, 8 people are going to view your message, right? So again, that's something that's been around for a while, that it's a little pricey, but in my opinion, people have not, utilize it in the right way. It's not about just sending a text message. It's about having a strategy as well. So I'm going to talk on all those strategies on the upcoming modules. So I'm not gonna go get into everything, because we'll be here for at least a good 10, 20 hours. But what I'm going to do is talk a little bit more about your offline versus online strategies today. Okay, so shifting gears, right? We need to shift gears. How are we currently selling our products and services, right? How is it that you're delivering either a product or a service to a client? Are they walking in your office, right? Are you selling insurance and they're coming in to sign up or making a payment? How do you convert that product to online? Are you for the restaurants out there? I mean, I know we talked about restaurants, and in particular, we have Alvin here today that he's one of our clients, and he's also not a restaurant, but does catering, right? He shifted his business. He did a really good job in identifying it, shifted his business to start taking orders online, right? A lot of restaurants are doing that. We talked to Humberto. He's our chief information officer. He's working with a lot of restaurants that are looking at shifting their strategies again. So you have to look at how you're going to deliver your product to your client now, from an offline perspective to an online perspective. Not only that, we're going to talk about post-marketing strategies or post-coronavirus strategies later on in the modules. But one of the things is, don't set up your business for right now. Like, I'm a living testament of how I set up my business 10 years ago for after the crash. And, not right now, because you might invest in doing certain things right now that are going to help your business, but also think about, how can you not let this affect your business later on in the future? What can you implement today that will be relevant through any different types of catastrophes or strategies? I mean, it's impossible to think of all the possibilities, but it's very possible to just be cognizant of what can be out there. Look at history and look at how you can adapt to that, right? So again, how do we exchange our services in the current environment? It's going to be very specific to your industry and to your business. But at the very minimum, I'm going to give you guys some underlining ideas on how to start, what to look at, and how to address that, right? Do you have a current website? Do you even have a website, right? Some businesses out there think that Facebook is their website. Well, it's not. Facebook is not your website. Facebook is a platform, right, that is going to help you interact socially. But are you finding new opportunities, or are you being opportunistic, right? Or are you being an opportunist, right? So we kind of had that conversation actually this morning with Oscar. There's a lot of people that in this environment, they kind of say, no, I don't want to take advantage of people because, of this environment. And that's not the case. You have to look at, how can you look at opportunity with what's going on? How can you market to people now in this environment, right? How can you get them to receive your product in a different way, right? Going back to just shifting, right? So important to make sure that you're looking at that and really not being opportunistic, right? Not taking advantage of people. An example would be selling masks $100 a mask, something crazy, right? Or $10 a mask when they were 10 cents before, or 20 cents, whatever the price of the mask was before. So let's not take advantage of people. Let's find a way to leverage what's going on and create services and products that people need in this environment, and be fair about it, right? How can we help get out of this crisis and help others, and at the same time help ourselves, right? So again, we're all in this together. It's not something that is only happening with one company, and I've been talking to a lot of, other businesses, and as well as my own business when I'm reaching out to my vendors, and everybody is so understanding, because again, we're all in this together. So we have to attack back. Okay, let's go into the next slide, please. So here's something that some companies are doing out there. I thought was pretty cool. Things that you can start kind of considering with your branding, right? McDonald's, they move the arches a little bit apart, right? Social distancing, right? They're supporting that cause, which is very important for us to do, right? Coca-Cola, this is an ad, a campaign that is being ran in Mexico. It's in Spanish. Hoy estar separado es la mejor manera de estar juntos. That translates to nowadays, being apart is the best way of staying together, right? So that's pretty cool. So again, you can be creative with your brand, right? You don't have to rebrand yourself, but you can be creative with your brand. These are just some examples of what some big players are doing out in the marketplace that, again, finding opportunity. A lot of cause marketing is a good time to do cause marketing. If you're able to, if you're financially stable enough to be able to give back to your communities, right? If you're able to, we have another client that's also a restaurant, and we'll probably have him on in our next event. He's ironically another in the food industry, right? El Pollo Norteño. They're out of Orange County, and they're putting on something that is cause marketing, right? They're giving for every meal that they buy, they're giving a certain percentage of meals to the food industry, right? To the medical industry, right? So they're giving back. So if there's a way that you can give back, people will remember that, right? And that's not being opportunistic. That's just showing who you are as a person, showing your good faith and helping others. It will come back. It will help your brand. It will help build your brand identity, and it will position yourself in the right light to people, right? So again, be smart about what you're doing with your brand, right? So that's one of the first things in the next slide that I'm going to cover. Go ahead, Memo. So first, how do we promote? Obviously with Unico, right? You just start promoting your brand with us. But the first step in your business is your business, right? So go ahead, Memo, to the next one. Brand identity, right? We're just talking about branding. So give me 1 second. Stop right there. So brand identity. So what I want to talk about brand identity is basically making sure your brand is positioned correctly for the right audience, right? Right now, things have shifted. We saw what Coke is doing. We saw what McDonald's is doing. They're shifting their brand to make sure that they're reaching the audience. And, a sale marketing is emotional, right? It's an emotional thing. So they're hitting people's emotions, right? They're hitting people's emotions to make sure that it elevates their brand. So you need to make sure you're looking at your brand. How can you achieve that with your brand, right? Look at whatever strategies you have in place or don't have in place that you should put into place as far as your brand goes, right? Make sure you're positioning your brand right. So next we have online presence, right? Again, that is the most important part of online presence. I used to actually, when I was in real estate and loans, which I actually still am, I had one of the first guys that trained me in sales in that industry was Sal. You got to drive a nice car. You got to, dress nice. You got to do all this because you know what? People don't know where you live. You can live in a shack. You can be driving a BMW and they're going to judge you on what they see, right? Perception is reality, right? And so in this case, especially nowadays, a lot of people, right now everybody's working from home, but even if before pre-COVID environment, a lot of people work from home, including myself. I do have a physical location, we have 2 physical locations, but for the most part, myself, I work from home. We have an office, we have a production office and all that, but people don't know where my office is, but people can easily see what my website looks like. People can easily see what my online presence is all about. And your online presence is not just about having just a website, is seeing where you are in other areas of the online environment, like your social media, your business listings, everywhere that involves being online, right? So when we're talking about online, it's not just your website. That's the hub of everything that you do, right? Your social media interaction, right? How you interact, what people are seeing about you, right? What people are saying about you, how you conduct yourself online. You're a public figure. In my opinion, as a business owner, you're a politician, right? And you have to conduct yourself in an ethical manner, make sure that you're doing the things that are going to be conducive to building your business. So online presence is huge, right? So first thing, brand identity, online presence. Memo, can you go to the next slide, please? And now you're ready for promoting. A lot of people do this backwards, right? They don't even have a website. They don't have an online presence that's well established, and they're already spending money on advertising online and spending money on things that they're not ready to receive that product yet, right? So it's important that your online presence is on point. Now you're ready to start spending some money in advertising, right? Back in the heydays, back in the maybe 20 years ago, a lot of the stuff was print advertising, right? The print is still very relevant. It's just shifted in how we do print now. But putting advertising online is important. Google, buying ads, right? Again, the strategies behind that. How do you do that effectively? How do you connect that to your website so now you have a converting site that's going to convert it into a sale, right? And when I part of my coronavirus creed is double down in marketing. It's silly, but it's sad. It's really sad that I come across a lot of businesses that I ask, what's your marketing budget? And the first thing that they tell me is, oh, I don't have a marketing budget. Really? So you don't have a way, you haven't thought about how you're going to bring in clients that are going to pay you so you can have a business. If you don't have a marketing budget, you don't have a business plan. If you don't have a business plan, you don't have a business. You've just created a job for yourself. So it's important that you think about a marketing budget so that you can promote your business. Your business, you should be the best promoter of your products and services. You should be the number one salesman in your operation as a business. So again, making sure that your promotions are correct at the right time more than anything, and that there is a strategy. And it doesn't take a lot of money. And that's what I tell my clients. Look, you have $50 for promoting. Let's see what we can take that $50. How can we maximize that $50 in your online presence, right? So whatever it is, you have to make sure that you do put a budget behind it, and then start looking at cutting costs and things that are not as important, right? Things that are, I sold life insurance. I was an Allstate agent for about 10 years. When I sold life insurance, I just sit down with my clients, and one of the questions I would ask them is, so do you drink? And then most of them would say yes, because they're all Latinos like me, and we all drink. And the next question was, I said, well, how many beers do you drink a week or a day? No, I don't drink that much. Maybe 2 12-packs a week. Whoa, 2 12-packs, right? That's like $30-$40 a week. So I started doing the math, right? So you're telling me that you spend about $200 a month in alcohol, but you can't spend $100 a month on making sure that your family is stable if you die, that their level of living is going to be the same. And the same thing goes for your business, man. You have to make sure you're cutting out all this stuff that isn't making you money, and shift that to acquiring clients and bringing business to your business, because that's what's going to keep your business alive. So marketing is like your life insurance, right? Marketing is the blood and life of your business. If you're not doing it, if you're not promoting your business, then it's really not a business. So you need to make sure that you're and doing it in the correct manner. Okay. So again, promoting, next slide, please, is going to bring us to money, right? Hopefully we're going to have some sales if we basically set the groundwork correctly. So that's kind of the cycle of life when it comes to sales and marketing and growing your business. Okay. So with that, I want to make sure that I don't take too much time. It's informative, and we're able to also get to the rest of our panelists and our agenda. So that's my marketing piece for today. And what we're going to start doing moving forward with these modules is that we're going to start bringing a little piece of all the different topics that we've talked about to keep it consistent, keep it relative, and making sure that we're delivering information to you guys. And also, if you guys have any questions on marketing, please feel free to post them on the chat box, or actually the Q&A, and we'll be more than happy to answer them. Also suggestions. Make sure you put out any suggestions that topics that you'd like to see in these webinars. We have access to a lot of very talented people that can bring resources to you and your company. Okay, so next slide, please. And up next is a very proactive, amazing person that I met in the AV Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Sylvia. She's always been a big supporter of the California Chambers of Commerce as well, and very active in her community. And most of our community leaders are like that, and with not much more interest for themselves, but interest for other people, right? So thank you, Sylvia, for being here. And why don't you talk to us a little bit about your chamber and a little bit about yourself, please?
Hello. We've been around since 1997, and this is my fourth time being president of the chamber. Right now, we are working on trying to get a lot of the businesses funded with this payment protection, the payroll protection. I'm on a call, I guess, a conference call every Thursday with about 17 organizations out here in the city of Palmdale. And we meet every Thursday. We talk about what's going on, what have we done, what are we doing. So it's really good because the organizations that are on there is like our captain, the sheriff. He's one of the persons on there. CHP, the fire department. Our schools are on there. The chambers, the two cities that I belong to, the city of Lancaster, city of Palmdale. So they give us the information, and then we go ahead and we pass that to our members. We had a webinar last Tuesday, which was our first webinar, and it was very productive. We had a lot of people on there. On the 28th of April, we are going to do another webinar with our Senator, Scott Wilk. So he will be on, and hopefully we're going to get a lot of people there to find out what's going on in Sacramento, what's happening. So we are very busy in the community. One of the things I see with our Latino community is they don't, they're afraid to come out and ask questions. So we're trying to get out there and do the webinars with them. Next Thursday, we have a webinar with the city of Palmdale in Spanish to go ahead and educate the small businesses of all the loans that are out there. And one of the things we keep finding is where people keep asking, well, where do I go? What do I do? There's a lot of information out there. I mean, there's a lot of links, and we keep posting and updating our website every day because every day it changes. So one of the things that we're trying to do out here is basically help these small business stay afloat because we don't know what's going to happen. And like Sal said, we do have to prepare for the future because right now what we're doing is limited. Once we come back, people are still going to be afraid to come out and socialize, really. It's going to take a while to do that. So with all the members we have, what we did last week, we had our board of directors meeting through the webinar, and everybody got a list of members that they will be calling and taking care of personally because we have over 200 members, and we divided that between the 18 directors I have. That way it's their job and their responsibility to follow up with each member, see how they're doing, how we can promote them, what we can do. We do a video that we call Business Connect, connecting our members to you. So we're going to start doing that again. And I think it's really important to let our members know that we're here for them. And one of the biggest things that I did let them know is, our chambers are businesses. We all have to survive. And if we don't survive, then how are we going to be able to help them? So that's one of the things that we're doing. I did apply for the payment protection plan, and I just got an email that we were approved. So that's really good. I can keep my employee. And that's really important that I had to learn how to do those steps so then I can share it with somebody else. And I think that was the biggest thing we talked about. We have to survive in order to help everyone else survive. We are very active in the community. Like I said, we're having our webinar with the senator. And then after that, we're going to do it with our assemblyman. So we do stay involved with our community. And like any chamber, we survive on the events that we do. Our membership, so we need to keep our members to keep our members wanting to be part of us. So that's why we're out there and trying to let them know we're here for them. However we can help them, we're here to help them.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sylvia. And one of the things that I would like to mention is, now is not the time not to pay your membership. Like I said, double down in marketing includes going out and joining another chamber, even if it's not in your city, figuring out a way of maybe you can network in that area, right? So membership to these chambers are really, not that expensive. And not only are they not that expensive, all the board members, for the most part, I would say most chambers don't have any paid employees, right? As far as paid board members, I know I don't get paid any money for being a board member. And we basically, it's a labor of love. We help out our communities. So when you're a member of a chamber, you're really helping a lot of people. So, I would say support your local chambers as well. Don't stop paying your membership dues. And on the contrary, join other city chambers and participate because, again, it's a community that really sticks together, and they really help out when you're in these times of need. Okay, so important to notate that. So thank you so much, Sylvia, for coming on today and talking about your chamber, and hopefully we can get you some more members out there as well.
Thank you.
Awesome. So up next on our Biz Owner Highlights this week is Mr. Alvin Garces. He has an amazing business. I'll let him talk a little bit about his business. He's our client, and we're proud to have him on today. So, Alvin, with that said, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about your business?
Sure. Thanks, Sal, for inviting me here. Can you guys hear me fine?
Yep, we can hear you perfect.
Great. I'm Alvin Garces. I've been actually a client of Sal. Referred by a good friend of mine in the promotion with the Philly Masterminds and also L&R Promotions. I've also been a chamber founder in the beginning stages, but in the financial services arena until I decided to join my wife in 2014 to, play with a sideline business in the food industry. But to make a long story short, first year, we definitely suffered a loss because of we basically grew the business way too fast. Closing a deal was fairly easy for me because I worked for a very large financial organization, learned how to direct and directed a pretty big group of sales and marketing people. But growing a business that fast was also something that I learned the hard way. So, but basically a year after that, we decided, since we've already invested, we decided to focus on B2B. And in 2015, we became the exclusive catering group and coffee services company for BMW Western Region, BMW Group Western Region, and also acquired the fitness body boot camps for meal preps. So I got comfortable. We got to a point where I was in my comfort zone, and as much as Sal was saying, marketing is quite important and everything else, I did know the foundation of starting an online presence simultaneously with my physical brick and mortar before promoting. I didn't know all those things that need to progress properly in its right order, or else you're wasting a lot of money. So, but at the end of the day, I was comfortable enough to not really, worry too much about marketing. And I was like, I wasn't even worried about business development. I had too much on my plate already until this thing happened. On April 13th, basically BMW Group, I already knew about this coronavirus coming about. Basically, BMW Group basically called me first, and they were basically very, very sad to tell me disappointing news that they would be in lockdown on April 13th. And then, so as you can just imagine, this year was supposed to be a very big year for me. We were going to grow by 200% this year. So I spent a lot of money on resources. Then all of a sudden, on April 13th, I get this call saying that we are going to be locked we were going to be closed, not operational, locked down worldwide until April 30th. My heart sank. I was in shock mode. I was going, what? All of a sudden, 90% of my income was gone. All of a sudden that happened. So instead of allowing this to, I mean, I'm only human. So I was actually in shock for 48 hours, which is normal. But after that, instead of falling prey, falling victim into this, onto this reality check, I decided to immediately switch gears. And I said, you know what? I've got no salespeople out there. I look at every single challenge that I've actually had, and I said, I've got to get my online stuff going. I got to get my marketing. I got to get all this stuff going. They are my salespeople. So I picked up the phone. I spoke to my project manager at Unico, and I said, you know what? Let's get this thing to happen. So we basically started e-commerce, everything else that I got done. You know, can you believe this? It's kind of funny when you're actually going, okay, I'm going to start drowning. What am I going to do? Should I let myself drown, or should I just, let's not waste any time, because time is so precious. Even at this point, I got everything done in a day. Thanks to you, Sal, for your team. I never actually got to say thank you for you guys. Guillermo, was very glad to actually see you for the first time. But thank you so much. Well, you guys got it done in a day's time. For about a month now, we have been growing 33% in the consumer sales business by meal delivery. I'm actually a little busier now than before, because the reality there is we've expanded our delivery, not just, forget about the business. I'm so focused right now on just consumers that we have actually expanded to the entire greater Los Angeles area in North San Diego County. I said, you know what? You either do it or you don't. So I did it. So I'm moving forward with it. I'm still, of course, that laser focus at this point, because we are still live in uncertain times, and the environment is completely going to change. That's exactly what's going to happen. That's what I see. And even BMW Group, who I reached out to yesterday, they still do not know what's going to happen. So right now, as far as I'm concerned, is starting a new business. And basically what we have done is we are basically listening to the experts out there like Unico, and decided to, of course, participate in these meetings, realize that the salespeople out there are our social media people, our online presence, and all different aspects. And if you actually, I just calculated the numbers, but these are actually in reality. The most beautiful thing about being locked down is that everybody's in the same boat. And as a business owner, this is actually quite an inexpensive resource for people to actually, can you imagine imagine how much it costs to actually pay for a sales representative out there on, boots on the ground. Imagine how much you're paying for social media. It is not expensive at all. These are the best times for me. And, basically we chefgourmetlc.com, we provide right now, just like what Tammy was mentioning, it's definitely very, very important to have a healthy mind, body, spirit concept. Because as I told my family, no matter what happens, I live in a situation right now where I haven't been, God, thank you for not being able to get me, I have been so healthy for the past 6-7 years. I haven't been sick, all these other things because of all these balance that I've actually done. And now, especially these days, if you don't keep yourself healthy, you don't eat correctly, you don't put your mind, your everything, your immune system will be at risk. So everything that we're working on right now is because we want to sell ourselves time. And you're right. As Sylvia was saying, we are in a position right now to help other people. And my acronym has always been, my trademark has always been, we know good food. And that's just not in food that we eat, but also food in the mind, food in the soul. So as very spiritual people, my family and I basically said, We are here to help people. So instead of adjusting myself to a point where I would take advantage of the situation where I would make more money, deliveries, all this stuff, I actually, from the very beginning, even all this stuff, I provided more discounts. I do free deliveries for up to 200 miles. I want to be able to do that to people until the day that I can afford to even give more, like give more to the community, to the. I told the Ontario Fire Department, if they ever need food, they can come here, but they never really took advantage of that because they know exactly how I'm doing still. But it's good news. Good news to the fact that I initially, of course, just we did not know we don't know it's really going to happen like with the SBA and the grants and the economic disaster loans and all that stuff and PPP, but. I got my EIDL. I didn't get funding yet, but I did get the money, the advance already. I got my approval, all this stuff. I was going, oh my God, it's actually real. And my wife and I got our stimulus. So I was going, you know what? This gave me hope. And I know how much approval amount that I have already for the EIDL that I was going, thank God for being an American. Thank God for being here in the United States, because now I have the opportunity and responsibility to also help because the government is helping me. And it's not a small amount either. It's going, wow. So we got to figure this out. Moving forward, I definitely want to say again, and my appreciation to you, Sal. I'm finally talking in front of these wonderful people in your network. And I definitely want to engage and let everybody know who's participating here, or hopefully will hear this, is that marketing is quite an essential to. Do not be afraid, because if you don't do anything, nothing will happen. So thank you again, Sal.
Thank you so much, Alvin. We appreciate your testimony and the information that you provided us. Thank you so much. I'm glad you got your stimulus, and I'm glad that your business is still thriving. So awesome. Good job. Okay, next up here, we're going to basically, just really quick, I want to thank, all our chamber partners, California Hispanic Chamber, the GRHCC. Carmen is the president. I want to make sure she's on here as well. Black Chamber, Pomona Chamber, Inland Empire Regional Chamber, World's Best Connectors from Arizona. Obviously, the AV Chamber, Latino Tax Pro, Alliance Multicultural Enterprises, a new company that came on board with us to do some networking. Ring Central, we're resellers of Ring Central, and the Inland Empire Business Journal. So thanks to our chambers and partners. Next slide, please, Memo. So up next, we have Mr. Oscar Garcia from the California Hispanic Chambers Foundation that is going to give us an update on the CARE Act. So Oscar, if you can please introduce yourself, and thank you so much for coming on and talking to us a little bit about what's going on. And Carmen, if you can please come online at the same time. So go ahead, Oscar, if you can please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Oscar Garcia. I am the Director of Business Development for the California Hispanic Chambers of Commerce and the Foundation here in Sacramento. And I'm here today to give you a little bit of an update regarding the EIDL program and the PPP. So EIDL stands for Economic Injury Disaster Loan, managed by the SBA, and also the Paycheck Protection Program, which is also by the U.S. Treasury Department. So with that, let me just say a couple of words regarding this loans. Am I supposed to queue with Carmen? Or should I just go, Sal?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Oscar.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, so we know already that the EIDL program and the PPP, it's already exhausted. It's not totally stopped. It's only a pause. Just information, the SBA has processed 14 years of lending of loans in 14 days. So that's how big this thing is. So for those of you, we've already confirmed with the SBA that all those people that apply and they had a control number, they received a control number, starting with the number 3 and so forth, they are in the queue. So they are going to process your loans. Okay, so with that said, remember those loans can also be subjected to several factors. Your credit could be one of them as well. All right, so um, but there will be more money as we speak. The California Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, locally and then statewide and nationwide, is advocating for small businesses such yours. So we are here to do that. And as we speak, the Congress and the Senate, they're getting together trying to figure it out. How to add another $250 billion into this program. So it is at a pause right now, but there is an opportunity for us to start rebranding ourselves. There's other things that we can do moving along. So that's one. Another thing is that I want to make aware of you is that California has allocated $50 million for small businesses. Okay, those businesses and those that money, will be available for you. But right now, we don't have any directive. The money, it's there, but it's going to go through the iBank. So it's up to $50,000. That would be the maximum amount. We also have the disaster relief program, also the same way. That is going to be up to $1 million, and it's going to be 95% guaranteed by the state. Again, this logistics, these directives are being talked right now. As soon as we get the directive, we are going to let you know beforehand. And that's the reason why it's important for you to attend these webinars and don't miss it, and tell people that are actually looking for answers, looking for resources, information. These webinars are all over the place. This is being one. We have webinars every single day. So please make sure that you connect with your nearest SBDC, the California Hispanic Chamber, UNICO right here with the local chambers as well, because we streamline a lot of the webinars and we share that information. So where do we go from here? How do we utilize this opportunity? Pause. Because everybody, like Alvin said, when he heard about this, he acted right away. Sal spoke about rebranding, talk about marketing, talking about how to actually bring the best value to differentiate yourself from the competition. So what can we do? Now, one of the things that we are finding out, that those people that applied for the EIDL loan or the PPP, they apply online, but they're not fully ready to respond with the application and the documentation. So very important. If you apply and you got a direct email saying, you're in the queue, or we'll get to you, or what have you, any type of information from SBA or your local bank or entity that you went to apply for the PPP, they will get back to you. But once they get back to you, it is very important for you to respond within 24 hours. And when you respond within those 24 hours, you have to have the information very accurately, because you only have one chance. If you don't do it right, then you're probably not going to get the loan, or it's going to be incomplete. It's going to be stalling, and it's going to go back on the line. So what do we go from here, and what do we do for this? Now, number one that we need to understand is that know your needs. What are your business needs? We know that there is a loan, and we know there's a limit. I mean, from $2 million, $1 million, up to $10 million. How much do you need? We have to understand the request. We have to look at our processes, operations, inventory, payroll, and so forth. So if you don't know how to do these things, you need to visit one of the SBDCs in your local area, or you can reach out to the California Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. You can reach out to Sal, your local chambers, and we'll get the information to you, and we'll help you any which way. Now, with that said, in order for you to be loan ready, you have to have your personal and business financials. Those are very important, because that dictates the amount of money that you are going to be loaned. For example, the Paycheck Protection Program, you got to know how much was your payroll for last year, and what is your payroll from January through March when this disaster was declared. So you got to talk to your bookkeeper. You don't have to have the 2019 taxes, but you have to have your balance sheet, your income statement, profit and loss statements. So you have to know how much taxes you pay for the state and how much you payroll, how much you pay for health insurance, 401k retirement plan, and so forth. This information, you've got to have it ready because they're going to ask you about this information. That's one of them. Collateral. What assets? Some programs, banks, they do want collateral. They want to know what are your assets. So you have to fully understand. That's the reason why you want to do the balance sheet, to find out what are your assets at the end of the year. Cash flow. We have to understand what the past was because we have to demonstrate that there was an economic injury before the disaster was declared. So this is another factor, okay? So if your business was losing money last year and you've been declaring lost the money, and all of a sudden you said, okay, well, I lost money due to the disaster. Remember, we have to prove that we were impacted by this program. Now, you don't know how to do cash flow, you don't know how to do those things, reach out to one of the agencies and we will help you to figure it out that way. Cash flow is very important because we need to also determine your ability to pay your loan. We have to understand that. Very important. Now, the interest rates for these loans are for the idle, of course. Once it starts back again, you have to be ready. This pause, don't think about it. Okay, now it's done. There's nothing I can do. Now, there's other ways that we can actually look for funding, and we're going to go, I believe, later on. But there is there's a lot of help available for you to find out more things. Now, we have another one program, the disaster, the state guarantee loan. Now, this one is the state guarantees up to 95%, and the amount that you can apply for, it's up to $1 million. So again, the iBank, the $50 million, and this other California disaster relief loan, those are brand new loan programs that have been already allocated this money for small businesses. We're still waiting for the logistics, the directives, and to find out where are we going to be sending these individuals. Now, when that opens up, we have to be ready to apply it, and we have to be ready with the documentation. All right, because as you see, $349 billion went out in 14 days, really quick. Everybody's in need of financing relief, financial relief. So we're here to help you. And if you have any questions regarding any of this programs, what's available in your area, what's available in California, how to figure out your cash flow, you're a sole-proprietor, you're 1099, and you don't know how to do this, because they're going to ask you all this, your payroll. If you're a company, you're going to need your 941s, you're going to need the 2-3 years of business and personal taxes, your cash flow, your profit and loss statements. So if you don't know how to do that, we have a 1-800 number. It's 1-833-275-7232. 1-833-275-7232, or you can go to our website, CAHCC.com. So CAHCC.com. I'm sorry. So if so,
yeah.
I think
thank you for that information. Go ahead, Carmen. I'm sorry.
Sorry, and to add to Oscar, thank you for all the information. I think that's important that we tell our listeners that if you do get the PPP loan, it is, and it can be 100% forgiven if you use up to, or at minimum, 75% of the loan for your payroll. And also you can use 25% of it for rent and utilities. Now, people need to know that as soon as it's funded, you need to start using that for your payroll within 10 days of getting that money, so that it starts for that 8-week period, and then you allocate, or you can allocate up to 25% for rent and utilities. So after this is all done and after people get the money, it's important for them to know that they can apply for the forgiveness. And as long as they use it for those certain things, it can be 100% forgiven. So that's important for them to know. And then, Oscar, somebody had asked, you spoke about the credit score. What is the minimum amount of credit that you need for the emergency loan?
Okay, just to add to what you said about the payment protection, you have 8 weeks. to actually use the money to bring in your employees that you have laid off or to retain your employees. You have to use it for payroll. Okay. So score. Normally, we don't know what the minimum score is because they haven't disclosed their underwriting guidelines. All we know that SBA typically they go to 620. So 620 it is the score. However, if you get denied for whatever reason, there's alternative lending and there's other ways that we can actually help you reapply for the PPP, but you have to go through your local SBDC. So if you don't know how to do this, where to go, you can always call us again, and then we'll get that information.
Yeah, we also, just to chime in on that, you guys can also visit our website. We do have resources there to help you with that. And you can also schedule a consultation with one of our consultants, and we can help direct you to that as well. So that's also a resource there, and we can connect you to Oscar if that's ultimately what can help. I just want to make sure I address that. And then one other question on that PPP, I've heard a lot of people asking, are the EIDL loan. They've submitted the EIDL loan. They haven't. They got a number, and I've heard a couple of conflicting comments on that they should, if they did it before a certain date, they should reapply, or should they hang tight? Because I have a couple of people that applied twice, and they said that it was going to override the first one. And then, and so what do you know on that front, Oscar?
Okay, if you applied before and you got a confirmation number that starts with a 2, that is no good because that platform had crashed. The platform crashed. So if you get a confirmation when you applied the first time and you got your confirmation or control number starts with a 2, is no good. So you have to reapply. If you got a 3, if it starts with a 3, then it's good. It's in the queue. Again, just a reaffirmation here. The SBA stated that if you got that control number and it starts with a 3 and you got that, it's in the queue and they're going to process the loan. Now, I'm going to just throw this in on the $10,000 at the beginning. The intention was that everybody was going to get $10,000, no questions asked. You don't have to repay it, whether you were approved or denied of the loan. However, due to the demand, they lower it to $1,000 per employee. So that changed a lot of minds and the game. So it is $1,000 per employee on the $10,000 supposedly stimulus and advancement from the EIDL loan. The PPP, of course, it's a different story.
Okay. Thank you for that information. So we'll see. We have more questions towards the end of the.
Sure.
Towards the end, if you guys have any questions, please make sure you click on the Q&A and ask your question there, and we'll get back to it. So go ahead, Memo. Let's go to the next slide. We're going to go ahead and bring up Manny. He's our Director of Business Development. He's going to be focusing on alternative lending and what options we have out there. So Manny, if you can please talk to us a little bit on that.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having us on. Thank you for the panelists doing before. You guys did a great job. So yeah, definitely want to dive into the alternative lending. As Oscar was talking about, the great information with PPP and the government programs. However, want to talk directly about the alternative funding programs that are out there and have always existed, right? Under the current environment, I know the focus was on PPP, but right now we need to pivot, as Sal was talking about earlier with marketing, we need to pivot with lending as well. Get your PPP applications in, obviously get them in the queue, but also if you need capital now, let's revisit the bank and the lending programs that exist and have existed, right? So for example, under the bank lending programs, and those who don't know my background, I spent 20 years in the banking industry, and so very familiar with these programs and have helped many customers over the years with this type of financing. So first and foremost, your SBA programs, like your 7A and 504 programs, those are still active and well. So if you are in business and in need of capital, we can use these programs to get you the funding that you need. Under those SBA programs, you can get items like lines of credit, a revolving line of credit to be able to help with your cash flow, right? If you need to buy inventory or you need to buy certain things for your business, you can use this revolving line to purchase and pay back, especially if you have invoices or you have, again, a type of merchandise that you need to buy. Wait to get paid by your client, right? And then go ahead and pay that line of credit back. So a revolving line facility is always needed for a business to be efficient, right? Your equipment financing, when you need to buy machinery, you need to buy those that are in manufacturing. I've spoken to different tire shops this week, and there's equipment that those businesses use to function in their business, right? If you're an IT type business or a technology type business, you have to keep renewing that equipment, right? So equipment financing is alive and well, and the collateral on that is the equipment itself that you're purchasing. Again, truck drivers, example, the truck that you're buying, that's another industry right now that is thriving, especially if you're getting those government contracts. So purchasing a truck or a trailer is under that equipment financing, right? Commercial real estate. Again, interest rates are at all-time low. So if you own a building or are interested in purchasing a building, now is a great time. The rates have been lowest that they've had been in a long time. And there are lenders that are still lending in this field. And so again, the collateral itself is the commercial real estate. So whether it's an SBA program, or as we move to the next section here with private loans, there are non-bank entity lenders or conventional type lending that goes through the bank, or your private type lenders that have evolved over the years that operate like banks, but they're not subject to so many regulations and rules like a bank. So they're more of your make sense type of lenders. If the lending underwriting guidelines fit and the private lender sees value in it, they can approve these loans, right? And so you have your private type lenders, also your nonprofit type lenders. There's nonprofit type SBA type lenders, micro lenders, your community development financial institutions. Again, these are other type of lenders that have always existed and have helped quite a bit in the small business community, especially. The small business community has always been challenged in receiving financing, traditional financing or funding from a bank source. These entities' job is to get you bank ready. And that's where in my 20-year career, I would work with these institutions to help get the funding you need now, and then help you and guide you to become bank lendable within a year or 2 years, right? So under this current environment, again, your private type or non-bank entities are still lending, especially, again, if you're part of an essential business that's still open and is still receiving and is still open for business, and we can help you. So this is something that we can absolutely help you with and guide you, and we'll be happy to give you a consultation to help you navigate through that. If truly you're in the need of capital, whether it's PPP, whether it's a government type funding, grant, or again, other traditional or non-traditional financing, let us be that resource and let us help you and guide you through this, because there's a lot of options, and we want to make sure you make the best choice that's for your business.
Hello, Manny, can I just make a quick comment real quick? I just got an email from the SBA stating that if you're buying your building from the SBA using the 504 plan program, the SBA will go ahead and cover for 6 months the loan payments. Okay.
Yes, that's a great reminder there, Oscar, right?
Right. It's they cover the up to 6 months of payments at a low interest rate of 3.3, as long as you start at March 27 through September 27. So if you're been thinking about your business and your building, contact Manny, because he's got a lot of experience, and right now record low interest rates on this type of programs. It's very, very rare. So take advantage of the opportunity. So thank you.
So thanks for bringing that up, Oscar, because that program itself, it's not 6 months in the back, right? It's not 6 months, temporary. It's actually 6 months of forgiven payments. So again, never in the history of SBA have I seen that happen. And so that's a great reminder right now to really look at that. Whether, again, you own your building already, and it's a great time to refinance, get some of that cash out of equity you may have already accrued and use that towards working capital. Or purchase that building. If you've been paying rent or leasing a building, it's a great time to get into that building yourself and start owning that. Last thing I'll say is again, if you're a homeowner, again, own a building, have real estate. This has always existed. You can use the home as collateral for your business loan too. And at the end of the day, when banks or lenders are looking to let you borrow money, they're looking for ways to get repaid, right? So we call it 3 C's of credit: credit, capacity, and collateral, right? So the collateral and the capacity side is how are you going to pay this money back, and where is that collateral? Again, if you have real estate, it's a great time to use because the rates are even more favorable when you are securing with real estate, whether it's your home or whether it's your commercial building or property. So keep that in mind. And again, we're open to answer any questions, whether during the webinar or after. Please reach out and we're happy to help any way we can. So back to you, Sal.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that information. Okay, so up next, again, please ask questions on the chat. We're going to address all the questions towards the end and any comments at the end as well. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide here, Memo, please. So next up is Tony Martinez from Latino Tax Pro. Good friend of mine, known for a lot of years. Great organization, Latino Tax Pro. They're out there helping the community, specifically the Latino community. They're a national firm. So go ahead and introduce yourself, Tony, please, and he's going to give us some tax updates. Okay.
Yes. Hi, everybody. Tony Martinez here with Latino Tax Professionals Association. Just wanted to let you guys know that the IRS launched a new tool for you to check your economic payment. The talk of the week has been the economic payment, the stimulus payment. Where is it? When am I going to get it? So if you go to irs.gov, there is a button that says, I get my payment. And in there, you can plug in your details, your social security number, etc., and your address, and it'll tell you if your money has been sent or where it's at. And so I got mine a couple of days ago. I got $1,200. I file single, but a lot of people have been getting their money. So just big news on that. Go to irs.gov, click on Get My Payment, and you could see where your stimulus economic payment is at. The second thing is if you usually don't file tax returns, if you are a non-filer, you may still qualify for this economic impact payment, as they call them, and you could go in and file what's called a non-filer tax return, just to give them your information, give the IRS your information so they could go ahead and send you that money. You need to have a social security number to receive that money. So if you have an I-10, you're not going to get that. That's the way the law was written. So just be aware of that. Also, there's a bunch of tax relief. One of the big ones is if you have any IRA accounts or 401ks, you could withdraw up to $100,000 from your retirement account and not have to pay that early withdrawal penalty. Usually, if you withdraw that money before 59 and a half years old, you're facing a 10% penalty on that money. But you could do that now, withdraw some money, as long as you pay it back within 3 years. So you could go ahead and repay it and not have to face any tax consequences. Also, the IRS is reminding people tax filing season has been extended till July 15th. You don't have to do anything. It's just a new date. So if you need additional time, you could do an extension, and then you get all the way to October 15th. But the October 15th is only to file. You still have to pay your 2019 tax returns by July 15th, 2020. Your 2019 taxes need to be paid by July 15th of this year. So yeah, just so you stay tuned for more. We're going to continuously receive information. If you do get any loan forgiveness or the $10,000 EIDL loan grant, that is not going to be taxable on your money next year. On your tax return, that is non-taxable money. Also, the $600 additional unemployment federal tax money that if you receive, that money is also not taxable on next year's return. So yeah, I just wanted to drop some news and be aware of that, and let me know if you have any questions.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Tony, for that information. And again, guys, take advantage of Tony. He's here and can answer any questions that you may have. So Up next here, I believe we're nearing the end here. Any resources, you can visit our website, unicobiz.com/attack back, I believe is Memo. Can you please change the slide? One more. There's the resources page. I believe we do have one question here. Give me 1 second here, and I'll pull that question up. So is the stimulus $1,200 a taxable payment? That's for Tony. Tony, are you still online?
Yeah, I'm still here. Sorry, say that again. The $1,200? No. So
is it a taxable payment?
No, that's free money. So the $1,200 is not going to be taxable. Also, keep in mind that if you didn't get it because your 2019 income was too high, and so when you submitted your 2019 tax return, the income is too high, you didn't get the money. But in 2020, your income drops. So when you go file your 2020 tax return, you are going to get it. You're going to get the money when you do your 2020 tax return. So it's more of an advance. They're advancing the money based on 19 and 18 tax returns. And if you qualify, you'll get it. If you don't qualify and they give it to you, they're not going to take it back in 2020. So they're not going to take it back. You lucked out. But if you don't qualify because of your 19 or 18 tax situation, when you file your 2020, they're going to see that you should have got it, you didn't get it. It's going to like reconcile, and they're going to give you that money then. So be aware of that as well. And also the another thing about 2020, you could qualify for the paid family leave credit as part of the Coronavirus Response Act. And the employee retention credit. There's certain credits that you as a sole proprietor could qualify, but you're going to qualify when you do your Schedule C tax return and tax season 2021. That's when you're filing your 2020 Schedule C as a sole proprietor. So more credits to come next tax season. Be aware of the forms, but definitely a lot of this money will not be taxable, especially the economic stimulus payments. They are not taxable.
Okay, I think we have another question here on the chat. So if someone has worked half-time as a 1099 and half-time as a W-2, will they still qualify for the $1,200 credit?
Yeah, the $1,200 credit goes to anyone who has a Social Security number. And that's pretty much it. Even if you don't have income, you could go and apply. If you don't usually file, you could get your money. So it doesn't matter if you do W-2. It doesn't matter if you do if you have a business. Usually I get a lot of questions. If one of the spouses doesn't have income and one does, they're going to get it. If they both have socials, they're going to get the $2,400 as married filing joint. So a lot of the income does not matter when it comes to these specific individual economic payments, because they're aimed at individuals, not at the,
Got it.
It's not like a PPP loan, yeah.
Got it. Okay. Well, I think we're nearing the end here. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Some people have asked me regarding the stimulus, and what if they haven't filed income taxes for the last couple of years? Will they be able to get that stimulus or not?
So the stimulus is based on 19 and 18 tax years. If they haven't filed, the IRS doesn't have their information. So we recommend that they go ahead and file. They have until the end of the year to file, so they could get their money. So if they want it faster, they should file faster. Now, if they have no reason to file because they didn't work in 19 or 18, then they could go into the IRS portal and do the non-filing tax return. I think the non-filer, it's a portal where you kind of do a simple tax return without any income, then they're going to get the money that way. So if you have people that don't usually need a file, they could do it that way. But if you do have a filing responsibility, you should go ahead and file your tax return. And even if you owe money, they're still not going to take your stimulus away from that debt. You'll still file. Maybe you owe like $10,000 because you haven't filed in a couple of years. You file, you owe money, but they're still going to send you your stimulus economic payment. And then you got to figure out, how to pay the money you owe. That's kind of separate.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Tony, can I ask you to speak a little bit about the $500 that you can receive even if you don't have a Social Security number in California?
Yes, great question. So the governor of California has a new stimulus, not stimulus, but a fund, an emergency fund that is 125. It's going to have $125 million in it. So partial will be from taxpayers. About $75 million will be funded by taxpayers. The other $50 million will be funded by private charities, and it's going to be designed to give undocumented individuals who don't have a social, $500 per individual, max $1,000 per household, $1,000 max per household, free money. And the money is going to be dispersed by the charities at a local level. And in May, they're going to give more details on how somebody could apply for that money. But it's only going to be given to 150,000 people. Even though there's over 2 million undocumented adults in this state of California, it'll only be given to 150,000 of them, $500 per, $1,000 max per household, up to 125 million the fund has through the local charities. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for all that information, Tony. A lot of great questions. So this is going to conclude our webinar. Our next webinar will be next Friday at 12 p.m. I want to thank all my panelists. Thank you, Humberto, also for joining. He's our CIO for Unico. Thank you for being here and providing all this great information to our community. Again, any questions, feel free to visit us at unico.biz. You can schedule a consultation. There's no charge for consultations. We basically want to provide you information and guide you in the right direction. So please feel free to reach out to us with any questions. Again, thank you, everybody, and have a great weekend and the rest of your Friday. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sal, for the invite.
Thank you.